I never imagined my life could unravel in a single night. One moment, I was laughing over dinner. The next, everything I believed was a lie. I thought my husband loved me. I thought we had built something real. But that night, I found a secret that shattered my world into pieces I'm still trying to pick up. It started with a message. Just one glowing on his phone screen, hidden in the dark like a betrayal waiting to be exposed. I wasn't supposed to see it, but there it was, impossible to ignore. A name I didn't know, words that cut deeper than any knife. I froze. My heart hammered so loud, I was sure he could hear it too. But he didn't even look up. He was so calm, so casual, like I was nothing. Like this secret, this hidden world, wasn't destroying me from the inside out. She was my best friend once. Or at least, I thought she was. Until she took everything from me, my trust, my happiness, my future. I stared at the screen, the words repeating in my mind. How long had this been going on? How many nights had he lied to me with that same smile? I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but my voice caught in my throat. Fear, anger, heartbreak, they all collided inside me, leaving me numb. I left the room quietly, pretending nothing was wrong. But inside, I was crumbling. I was a stranger in my own home, surrounded by shadows of a love that no longer existed. I couldn't sleep that night. Every sound felt like a threat, every silence like a confession. Was I imagining it? Was there any chance this was a mistake? But deep down, I knew. I knew the truth was uglier than anything I could face. And just like that, the life I thought I had was gone. For almost 6 years, I believed my life was perfect at least. That's how I told myself every day. My name is Sara, and I was married to Arman, the man I thought was my soulmate. From the outside, we looked like the couple everyone envied. 2 careers, a cozy apartment in the city, and weekend getaways that felt like scenes from a movie. Arman was charming, always making me laugh even on my worst days. He had this way of making me feel like the only person in the room, like I was everything he ever wanted. We had routines, inside jokes, late-night talks, and dreams we whispered to each other when the world was asleep. But that picture-perfect life started to show cracks I refused to see. Before Arman, I was the girl who dreamed big but stayed quiet. Growing up, I was shy, always careful not to rock the boat. I believed love meant sacrifice putting someone else's happiness before your own. When Arman came into my life, I thought I had found the reason my heart had waited so long. He encouraged me to pursue my passion for photography, promised he'd always support my dreams. And for a while, it felt like he meant it. I started small, capturing moments that most people overlooked: smiles on strangers, the way light fell through the window at dusk. I loved it. But as my photos started gaining attention, Arman's excitement faded. Little comments here and there about how I should focus more on us, less on some hobby. I brushed it off. I told myself that love meant compromise, that maybe I was being selfish. My closest friend, Meher, was my anchor. She knew everything: my fears, my hopes, even the little doubts I tried to hide. We had grown up together, sharing secrets and supporting each other through heartbreaks and triumphs. She was my safe place. But then there was Faizan. Faizan was Meher's older brother. We had always been friendly, warm smiles, casual hellos at family dinners. But recently, something had shifted. Faizan started showing up unexpectedly, offering to help with my photography projects, listening like no one else did. His attention was different, gentle, but intense. I told myself it was nothing, just harmless kindness. What I didn't know was that Faizan was a storm waiting to break through my carefully built world. Arman noticed too, but instead of jealousy, I saw something colder in his distance, maybe even resentment. Our conversations became shorter, filled with silences that screamed louder than words. I tried to hold on, to bridge the gap, but every attempt seemed to push him further away. Behind the smiles and I love yous, I felt alone. I was caught between the man I loved and the person I was becoming. The girl who wanted to shine without apology, who wanted to live her truth even if it meant breaking the rules of a perfect marriage. And then that message appeared on his phone. Everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and friendship came crashing down in an instant. It started on an ordinary Thursday evening, the kind where nothing seems out of place. Arman had promised he'd be home early, but his work calls kept dragging him away. I waited in our living room, flicking through old photo albums, trying to keep my mind off the growing knot in my stomach. That's when his phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. At first, I ignored it. But then, the screen lit up again and again, each time a message from a name I didn't recognize. My curiosity got the better of me. I reached for the phone when Arman stepped into the hallway, laughing at something on his work call. He didn't see me glance at the screen. One message caught my eye. It was short, just a few words, but it twisted something inside me. The tone wasn't casual. It was secretive, intimate. My heart sank. Who was this woman? Why was he hiding this from me? I put the phone down quickly before he could notice, but the damage was done. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. That night, I lay awake, replaying every moment we had spent together recently. Had I missed the signs? The late nights? The distracted looks? The unexplained silences? The next day, I tried to push the fear away. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was overthinking, but the unease stayed with me. Then came the moment that broke me. I was on my way to meet Meher for coffee when I saw him Armanat, a little cafe downtown. But he wasn't alone. There was a woman sitting across from him, her hand resting on his in a way that made my chest tighten painfully. I wanted to turn and run, but my feet were frozen, glued to the pavement. They laughed quietly, sharing a private world I didn't belong to. The warmth between them was undeniable. It was the kind of connection that I hadn't felt from Arman in months. For a moment, I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she was a client or a colleague. But the way he looked at her, the softness in his voice, told a different story. I walked away before he saw me, tears blurring my vision. Everything I had hoped for, everything I had trusted, was slipping through my fingers. When I got home, I pretended everything was normal. I smiled, asked about his day, but inside, I was falling apart. How could he do this to me? To us? And the worst part? I didn't even know her name. That night, I lay awake, the weight of what I'd seen crushing every breath. Should I confront him? Could I? Or was I just imagining things, letting my fears spiral out of control? The truth was, I couldn't stop replaying that moment outside the cafe. The way his hand lingered on hers. The way he smiled soft and secretive, like I was invisible. I whispered to the darkness. Why, Arman? Why didn't you tell me? But there was no answer. The next morning, I tried to act normal. I brewed his coffee, packed his lunch, even kissed his cheek like every other day. But inside, a storm raged. When he kissed me goodbye, I wanted to demand answers, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I murmured, "Have a good day." He smiled, unaware of the earthquake beneath my calm. As soon as he left, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Mayher. "Hey, you okay? You seemed off yesterday." I stared at her words. Could I tell her? Should I? I needed anyone to know. I typed, "I saw him with someone else." Minutes later, her reply came. "Sara, what do you mean? Are you sure?" I felt my fingers trembling as I typed back, "I don't know. I want to believe it's nothing, but I saw them." Meher called immediately. Her voice was steady but soft. "Sara, I'm here. We'll figure this out together." Her support was a small lifeline in the ocean of doubt. But then came the hardest part, waiting for Arman to come home. When he finally walked through the door, I was sitting at the kitchen table, hands clenched, heart pounding. He greeted me with a tired smile. "Hey, how was your day?" I looked up, my voice barely a whisper. "We need to talk." He frowned. "About what?" The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. "Are you seeing someone else?" I blurted out. His eyes widened, then narrowed. "What? No, you're imagining things." I shook my head, feeling tears prick my eyes. "I saw you, Arman, with her." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration flashing across his face. "Sara, it's not what you think, but it looks exactly like what I think." I snapped, voice trembling. "Why would you lie to me?" He sighed deeply. "I'm tired, okay? Work has been overwhelming. She's just a colleague, that's all." I wanted to believe him, wanted to cling to that hope. But something inside me screamed otherwise. That night, alone in our bedroom, I stared at the ceiling, fighting the battle between hope and heartbreak. Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe I'm overreacting. But what if I'm not? I felt trapped in a nightmare where every shadow held a secret, and every silence was a lie. The trust we had built was crumbling beneath my feet, and I didn't know how to stop it. The next day, I couldn't stop the nagging voice in my head telling me I needed to know the truth now, matter how painful it might be. I wasn't ready to accept Arman's explanations. The doubt was a poison, spreading through every thought, every moment. So, I made a choice. I followed him. I told myself it was just to see if he was really where he said he'd be. To prove to myself, once and for all, if I was crazy or if my heart was breaking for a reason. I waited outside his office, hidden behind a wall of late-morning pedestrians. My hands shook, my breath caught every time he stepped outside. And then I saw her. The woman from the cafe. But what happened next was something I never expected. Arman didn't just meet her quietly and then part ways. He kissed her. Not a quick, innocent peck. A long, desperate kiss, like he was trying to erase every trace of me from his memory. My world shattered. I wanted to scream, to run, to grab him and demand why. But I stayed frozen, tears streaming down my cheeks, my heart breaking in real time. The woman looked up, eyes wide, catching sight of me. She didn't hide. Instead, a slow, cruel smile spread across her lips. That's when I realized this wasn't just a fling or a mistake. It was something much worse. Something planned. I retreated silently, my mind racing. Who was she? Why did she have this power over him? And what did she want from me? Back home, I confronted Arman again, this time with the evidence I couldn't deny. His face went pale. "I didn't want you to find out like this," he said, voice shaking. "Find out what?" I demanded. "That she's pregnant." The words hit me like a freight train. Pregnant. Not with me. His secret wasn't just a betrayal, it was a new life, one that didn't include me. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, to break something, but all I could do was stand there, numb. Arman's eyes pleaded, "I never wanted to hurt you. I'm so sorry." But sorry wasn't enough. Not for the woman who had been my best friend's brother's girlfriend. Not for the life we had planned together, now crumbling to dust. That night, I sat alone, tears falling like rain. The man I loved was carrying a secret that shattered everything I thought I knew about us. And the truth was only beginning to unravel. I couldn't live in silence anymore. The lies, the secrets they were suffocating me. That evening, I decided it was time to confront Arman. No more pretending, no more second-guessing. I needed the truth, raw and unfiltered. He came home later than usual, tired and distracted. I waited in the living room, heart pounding like a drumbeat in my chest. When he stepped inside, I didn't hesitate. "We need to talk," I said, voice steady but cold. He looked at me, eyes searching, like he knew what was coming but wasn't ready. I took a deep breath. "Why didn't you tell me about her? About the pregnancy?" His face fell. For a moment, all the defenses dropped, and I saw the guilt etched deep in his eyes. "I was scared," he whispered. "I didn't know how to tell you." "Scared?" I repeated, disbelief cutting through me. "You were scared to tell me, but not scared to betray me?" He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. The silence was heavier than any words. And then the doorbell rang. My heart skipped a beat. I opened the door. There she was, the woman who had taken everything from me. Her eyes met mine, and for a second, there was something regret, defiance. I couldn't tell. She stepped inside, calm, almost too calm. "I think it's time you both know the whole truth," she said softly. I stared at Arman, confusion and fury twisting inside me. "What truth?" I demanded. She took a deep breath. "I didn't mean to come between you two, but this baby, it's not his." The words hit me like a thunderclap. "What?" I whispered, shaking my head. She looked at Arman. "I was pregnant when we met. I thought it was his, but I just found out it isn't." Arman's face twisted in shock. "What are you saying? That baby is mine," she said, voice steady. "And it changes everything." My world spun. Betrayal piled on betrayal. Lees tangled with secrets. I realized then that the real betrayal wasn't just the affair, it was the whole twisted web we were trapped in. I looked at Arman, and all I could say was, "How do I even begin to trust you again?" He reached out, but I stepped back. "I don't know if you can," he admitted, voice breaking. The woman looked at me, eyes full of something I couldn't read. And in that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same. After that night, nothing was the same. The truth had slammed into me like a storm, ripping apart the life I thought I had. Arman and I didn't speak much. When we did, it was cold, filled with words we both wished we could take back. I moved out of our apartment a week later. It wasn't easy, the memories clung to every corner, every shadow. But I needed space. Space to breathe, to heal, to find myself again. Meher was the first person I called. She held me as I cried, her words steady and kind. "You deserve better, Sara. Don't let this break you." And slowly, I began to rebuild. I threw myself into my photography. What was once a hobby became my lifeline. Every photo I took told a story, sometimes of pain, sometimes of hope. Arman tried reaching out. Texts, calls, even showing up at my door once. But I didn't answer. I needed to find peace on my own terms. The woman, the one who had been the catalyst of this heartbreak, disappeared from our lives as quickly as she came. Faizan told me later she moved away, leaving behind a trail of broken promises. But the scars remained. Months passed. I learned to live with the silence inside me, the quiet ache of what could have been. Then, one afternoon, as I was preparing for my first solo exhibition, a package arrived. Inside was a photo album. Not just any album, but one Arman had made. Pictures of us before the lies, before the secrets. Moments frozen in time when we were happy. A note fell out. "I'm sorry for everything. I lost myself, but I hope someday you can forgive me." I sat with the album in my hands, tears spilling again. Forgiveness felt impossible, but I also knew I couldn't carry this hatred forever. I placed the album on my shelf, a reminder of what was what I survived. As the exhibition opened, surrounded by strangers admiring my work, I realized something crucial. Sometimes, the people we love the most are the ones who hurt us the deepest. But sometimes, the greatest love we can give ourselves is to let go and move forward. I walked through the gallery, heart lighter than it had been in years. And just like that, everything I thought I lost began to find its way back, not in the way I expected, but in the way I needed. The story wasn't over. It was a new beginning,